we have people joining from all over India. I mean, there are people from south, north, everywhere. Premlata Bansal madam, our past president, she's from Delhi. There are people from east, there are people from south, people from everywhere. So I'm glad we are having Dr. Samdani as our guest today. The subject, let me tell you, doctor, I mean, you know, we all have become PhD in WhatsApp, and the knowledge of WhatsApp is wrong or right. We all think this is right and we must follow this. But every day there is some new knowledge. So this is how I think the first would be your lecture would clear a lot of doubts we have in our mind. Now with that background, may I request Hitesh Bhai to please introduce Dr. Saab.
Yeah, thank you, Nikita. As you said that technology-wise, the WhatsApp everyday news thing, it's like a corona, that airborne, it remains for 3 hours, then it disappears. So technical knowledge is always disappears within few hours or within few days. Anyway, coming back to the present task, I have been given a present task to introduce Dr. Pratit Samdani. Respected seniors, friends and colleagues, it's my honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Pratit Samdani. And I thank Dr. Pratit Samdani for readily agreeing to address this session for increasing our knowledge with respect to a coronavirus. Dr. Pratit Samdani is an honorary associate professor of medicine and head of the medicine unit at GT Hospital and Sir JJ Hospital in Mumbai. Apart from private practice in Mumbai, Dr. Samdani is also a consultant physician at Jaslok, Breach Candy, Sir H.N. Reliance Hospital, Saifi, Bhatia and Kambala Hill Hospital in Mumbai. Practically is associated with every hospital in South Bombay. Dr. Samdani has a vast experience in teaching and training of graduate and postgraduate medicine students. He was a first-class student throughout his academic career. At the postgraduate level, he passed the MD exam, internal medicine, that is examination at the first attempt in April 2002, obtaining a second rank in Bombay University. He is one of the youngest physicians to be designated as Associate Professor of Medicine and Head of the Medicine Unit. He has several prestigious fellowships to his name and is a member of a host of professional bodies of the medical fraternity. Dr. Samdani is often invited either as a faculty or a chairperson or a speaker to deliver the lectures nationally and internationally for all specialties, and he has so far delivered more than 300 lectures. He is a regular participant at medical conferences, CMEs, seminars, courses, and forums in India and abroad. He has many feathers in his cap. I will name few of them. He is a distinguished winner of Mumbai Best Doctors 2020 Outlook Magazine Republic Day issue. He has also been announced as a Lifetime Achievement Award, that is the second highest civilian award in Maharashtra, winner for the outstanding work in medicine by the Dinanath Mangeshkar Foundation. He is acclaimed as one of the Mumbai's top doctors by India Today in 2019. Similarly, he has been acclaimed one of the best doctors for 2013 by India Today. He has been awarded as a top physicians Mumbai in 2016. He awarded Excellence in Internal Medicine Award 2012, and he has also been awarded with Excellence in Medicine Award in New Delhi on December 14, 2012. So he has, these are the few instances which I shared. He has many more feathers. Now, basically, I will not go into the much deeper aspect into it, but I thank Dr. Pratit Samdani for readily agreeing to enlighten us on the topic. The topic is also very interesting. It's a myth about the COVID. We all are, so far as the technically law perspective, we may be perfect, but so far as the science field is concerned, we are still late. We still have to learn a lot about this particular disease. And I thank you once again. Dr. Pratit Samdani is a very humble person, and though he's a very good friend of mine, and he has agreed to share this session. I thank you, and I welcome you once again. And over to Dr. Pratit Samdani. You can take it over, sir.
Thank you very much. A special thanks to Hitesh Bhai, Nikita Ben, Mr. Joshi, Mr. Arvind for your technical efforts. And I thank you very much. Welcome to the presidents, the past presidents, all my senior colleagues, and the backbone of the economy of this country, the tax consultants. Hitesh Bhai, that was a very warm introduction. It's almost flickered me. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. Next slide, Hitesh Bhai.
Yeah.
Thank you. So what I want you to do right now, this is not a meditation lecture. This is not a lecture which is, spiritual. I just want each one of you all to close your eyes and think what you had wished to do in your life or what you had desired to do in your life. Just think for 10 seconds. Next slide. Most of you all could have said, I want to read authors like Shakespeare, novels like Vyomesh Bakshi, Stephen King, John Grisham, all-time favorite, read your Archie comics, watch movies like Star Wars, Friends, Silsila, the Rajinikanth starrer for the South Indian fans, Chandramukhi, or the epic Ramayana, or just watch Hotstar and watch anything. Or listen to the classic Beethoven, you can hear it in the background. Listen to Lata Mangeshkar, Daler Mehndi, Michael Jackson, U2, play chess, Monopoly, cards, get those back days memory in the childhood, or just learn to practice the guitar, sitar, violin, learn a new instrument. This is the time where we can all sit and do it. This is not a punishment. A lockdown is not a punishment. Nature and God is giving us time to do work and fulfill our desires of childhood. So what I'm going to do over the next 40 minutes, I'll just go through a brief agenda. I'm going to introduce and give the origin of this COVID virus. I'll give you signs and symptoms and management. I know this is medical and technical, but I'll just spend a slide on it. As I said, I'm going to tell you about the big five, not the big five animals of East Africa Safari, the big five that we all need to do. The myths and facts of COVID-19, lockdown and the effects of lockdown. So I'm going to talk about why there was a lockdown and what is it going to translate. Nutrition and foods. I think every one of us is so fond of food. We need to gather all knowledge. We may not follow all of them. Why India is in a different scenario compared to the worlds of USA, Italy, France, etc. What is the future of this disease? And before we get out of this COVID lockdown, how do we get prepared to get work? So let's start, Hitesh Bhai. Slide number 1. COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2. You can see this diagram. This is a microscopic diagram of the virus. And you can see it's masked. The entire world is masked in this COVID-19. Next slide. So it's a novel virus that was founded in December 2019. Let me tell you, I know you all are not doctors, but it's very important. And this is the fundamental reason why a lockdown has happened. A virus. What is a virus? A virus is a very smaller than a microscopic infectious agent. Any virus is infectious, which only multiplies within a living cell of a host. That means it cannot multiply on its own. It needs a host, like an animal or a human. If we were talking about SARS, of COVID-2, this originated in a place called Wuhan in Hubei province in China, in a seafood market. Incidentally, Wuhan is also a place which is known for biological warfare. If you were to believe the story, it originated in bats. And in this market, there are rabbits, marmots, snakes, bats, various other animals that are legally traded. This virus jumps from the animals to humans, and that's where all began. So the bats got infected, and a human got eaten an infected bat, and the cycle started from there. What does corona mean? Corona means crown-like. And for some of you who asked me the question before the session, do we know this virus? Oh, this virus is 50 years old. It's half a century old. How do we get the name COVID? It's very interesting. COVID comes from from corona, V from virus, and D for disease. It's not just a name that a father, mother, or the government has given. There is a scientific reason for this name. And therefore, because it was found in 2019, it's called COVID-19. previous herd infection, all of us have heard in the past, are SARS that occurred in 2002 in China again, and MERS, the Middle Eastern Respiratory Virus that occurred in Saudi Arabia in 2012. Fortunately, they were not so lethal or widespread, and they were not described as pandemics. At present, the COVID-19 has affected more than 200 countries, and we are still counting on. I can't give you figures because the figure changes every second, but if one is interested, we can all go to www.worldometers.info/coronavirus and do not go on your WhatsApp. They may give you wrong information. Next slide. So what's the difference between an epidemic and pandemic? So typically an epidemic is an event or a disease which is related to a small area and it is actively spreading in a small surrounding. Often used to describe a problem that has outgrown, which has grown out of control. Whereas pandemic, it relates to a geographical spread. That means it spreads from countries to nations and often covers the entire world. That's why this virus is called pandemic, because it stretched from North America to Australia. Next slide. Is this the first global pandemic we've had? You know something, we've had pandemics since Stone Age. If you remember, if you've heard of the first major pandemic which killed 200 million people was the bubonic plague, or the plague which actually started from a mice and then went to a human, and that was in 1350 odd. Then we had smallpox. 90% of Native Americans had died during smallpox. We had the Spanish flu, and let me tell you something really interesting. And I'm not predicting 2020, 3020. I'm just telling you what happened. In 1720, we had the Black Death. That's the bubonic plague that devastated the world. In 1820, we had the cholera attack, which again was widespread and was a huge pandemic. In 1920, we had the Spanish flu, where almost 45 to 50 million people died. And in 2020, we have the coronavirus. So if you see, it's a jump, not from animal to human, but from 100 years to 100 years. And unfortunately or fortunately, we are the ones who are experiencing this century's global pandemic. And I hope this is the last pandemic of this century. Next slide. What are the common signs and symptoms? The common signs and symptoms are fever, dry cough, occasionally can be associated with phlegm, shortness of breath, muscle or joint pain, sore throat, fatigue. You know, one can complain of severe tiredness and fatigue, body ache, mild headache. You can get a chill or a rigor. Many patients present with diarrhea and vomiting. So diarrhea is also not uncommon. And some patients, right in the beginning of the disease, actually complain of stuffed nose and decreased smelling. This is medically called anosmia, parosmia, where you can't smell. Besides these common variations and clinical symptoms, several patients across the globe are also coming with skin manifestations, neurological manifestations, eye manifestations. So it's almost like any other virus that can affect every part of your body. Next slide. How does it spread? This is very important. Basically, COVID-19 spreads through droplet infection. That means when someone who has COVID-19 coughs or exhales, they release droplets of infectious material and fluid that spreads from person to person. Most of these droplets fall on nearby surfaces, such as objects like staircases, elevators, gadgets, your table, your phone, your laptops, etc. And if someone else comes and touches that surface, you can spread that virus. But by and large, this virus is spread from droplet infection. That means from a cough or a secretion of an infected person. So what is the lockdown rationale? You know, I've had hundreds of calls that why did the government do this? Why was there a lockdown? Please remember, you know these numbers better than me. India is the 5th largest economy according to the minimal GDP. We have more than 130 crore people. India is losing almost 40,000 crores rupees a day. So no government is crazy to lose so much of revenue. Only way to delay or decrease this spread was a lockdown. And I am giving you the rationale again. The incubation period, that means from a person getting the first symptom of the virus or the entry of the virus until the person can infect someone, is anywhere from 1 to 14 days. Some instances have also had up to 28 days. That means up to 14 days after you catching the virus in your body, you can infect someone. Only replication will help. As I've told you, by definition of a virus cannot replicate or multiply on its own. It needs a host. And the host in this case is the human. To break this chain, a lockdown was imperative. I think now it gives more scientific reason of a lockdown rather than just listening to people that why is there a lockdown. Clearly, India has fared better and we should be all proud of this. If India even had 5 to 10% of people getting affected with COVID-19, can you imagine the catastrophe? 5% of 132 is anywhere from 6.5 to 7 crore people. And I don't get into the logistics of hospital, food, famine, rush, etc. This is not like a World War I and II. We are glad that people are not being killed by others for food. We don't have famine. People are not dying out of hunger. We just have a virus. So we have to keep our cool and stay at home. Next slide. Management. When I speak about management, it means about 1, diagnosis, 2, about treatment. At present, we only have the PCR test. A PCR test, as you can see pictorially, is done through a swab from the nose and from the pharynx. We are awaiting the antibody test. This is a rapid test. It's a dynamic test. You get a result in 45 minutes to 1 hour. And this can actually tell us if you've had past infection, we have a current infection, it's more specific. So we are waiting for this. We can do larger number of tests and also helps us for people going to work and cure in terms of the virus. There's no definitive therapy. All of us have read hundreds of articles, hundreds of messages we've received about drugs. Please do not go and hoard any of the drugs. It will not help you. The favorite that I've received most messages is about hydroxychloroquine sulfate. However, zinc and magnesium are 2 vitamins that have some special role in it, and there are specialized therapies which I will not discuss. That's for a medical forum. Until then, what we can do is isolation and hygiene. Next slide. There's something on the slide. There's a mark. Okay. Please remember, not everything is cancelled. Sunshine is not cancelled. Love is never cancelled. Relationships should never be cancelled. Reading is not cancelled. Nap not cancelled. I'm sure most of us have woken up from a nap. Devotion is never cancelled. We all are devoted. Music is the tone of life. Dancing is not cancelled. Imagination, how can you close your imagination? Kindness is what we all should live for. And of course, conversations like these are never cancelled. Hope, we all live in a spray of hope, and hope is not cancelled. So there's lots of things that's available in the lockdown. Next slide, telling you about the big 5. Hands, wash them with soap and water or an alcohol-based rub. That should be or an alcohol-based rub. This is extremely important. It's not just going to the tap, opening the tap, putting some soap and saying, I wash my hands. I will show you the correct technique in the next slide. Elbows, cough into your elbow or in a disposable tissue. Please do not cough in the open air like the pictorial graphic, slide 1 and 2. Please use your elbows. We always have been taught from school days, when you're about to cough or sneeze, you say, excuse me. I'm telling everyone, when you cough and sneeze, say elbow, please. Don't say excuse me, please. Face, do not touch any part of your face without washing your hands. Else we'll have to go to Mars and get a dynamic inverted umbrella to cover your face to prevent yourself from touching your face. Can I tell you something? There are more than 2,000 times a person touches his face on an average in a day. You can't even imagine. You get a tickle, you want to comb your hair, you want to, clean your ear, you want to just touch your face because you're doing nothing. That's the number of times you touch your face. Distance, please keep a safe distance of at least 1 to 2 meters between 2 individuals. This is often called social distancing. I agree to the term to a great way, but I think it should be called physical distancing. I don't want patients or people to be socially inhibited. I want them to be connected. So I rephrase this and I call it physical distancing. Home, stay at home and spend time with your family and work from home. I've told you, fulfill all your desires. Until then, a colleague of mine has a poster to state, I stayed at work for you, you stay at home for me. Next slide. This is a slide to tell you how to clean your hands. I've taken this purple color to tell you if you don't clean your hands, what can remain. Yes, Hitesh Bhai, sir. So put just one, put adequate soap on your palms. Interlace your fingers palm to palm several times, as you can see in the video. Lay your hands over the palm. So put your left over the right, then put your right over the left. Rub it at least 5, 6, 7 times. This ensures that the soap reaches the place between the digits. Use the back of your finger on both the sides, so left on right and right on left. This also makes sure that the fingers are clean. Wrap your hand around your thumb as the way it's shown and rub them. Switch the thumbs left to right. And finally, clasp your fingers into your palm and repeat it with the other hand, because the tips of the fingers are the most viral prone areas because you often touch things with the tips. Rub your wrist the last time, then rinse it with water, and then you find, if you see this color, it's completely soaped now. A simple way to do it is to do it for 20 seconds. It's no use to do it less than 20 seconds. Next slide, Hitesh bhai. But I can tell you how you're going to, you can't keep a stopwatch in your bathroom when you go and clean your hand. So saying happy birthday, that whole thing twice, and that's 20 seconds. That's as easy as that. Now, what is the importance of social distancing? This virus has an infective ratio, what we call as 2 to 2.5. That means one infected individual can infect up to 2 to 2.5 people. So imagine in a normal behavior, in a circumstance when there was no lockdown, one person would infect about 2.5 people in 5 days. Guess what would happen in a month? He would infect as many as 400 individuals. If he had 50% less contact, we would land up infecting only 15 people at the end of 30 days or a month. And if we had 75% less contact, and I think that's what we are almost at, maybe more, you would technically infect only 0.625 people in 5 days, which will result in only 2.5 people getting infected in 1 month. That's why it's so important to do physical distancing. And that's how a reduction in physical contact can reduce the spread of coronavirus. And therefore, my colleagues, that's the reason why we are under the lockdown. Next slide. Myths about corona. Oh, like we have Wikipedia, we have WhatsAppopedia. Does vitamin C help cure the virus? Well, let me tell you, friends, vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin. It certainly helps in building your immunity. Does not cure coronavirus or COVID from any chance. Rich sources are citrus fruits. So your oranges, bananas, juices, broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. These are rich sources of vitamin C. And if we have, a couple of these vegetables and fruits, we get enough vitamin C. Next slide. Whether pets, many of us have pets at home, can spread COVID. No, they only spread love. Luckily, there's no proof of this. It's safe to be with your pets. Next slide. Pets do not spread COVID. We live in a country where there are more faiths and beliefs than number of doctors and pathies. One of them is, does using cow dung or drinking cow urine cure the virus? Let the cow dung and cow urine be there for more fertilizing properties rather than eating and drinking to cure virus. This is a complete myth, ladies and gentlemen. Do not drink cow urine or eat cow dung to cure the virus. You can do it for other reasons. Next slide. Whether consuming eggs can spread COVID? No, consumption of eggs does not spread COVID. It's safe to consume eggs. Next slide. Whether products from China, there's a whole buzz around the world that we should ban Chinese products, not because the virus originated from there, but because if we get products from China, they would spread COVID to us. This is a shipment that's come from Wuhan and China. Products from China or shipment from China or newspaper reading does not spread COVID, my friends. It does not spread COVID unless you're importing the COVID virus from China. So it's safe to use products from China. Next slide. The southern hemisphere, like India, is entering summer. We've entered summer. The northern hemisphere is chilling in the minuses. It's often said that, when summer comes in India and Southeast Asia, the incidence of viral infections will decrease. So whether a change in climate, hot and chill, will kill the virus? Unfortunately, that's not true. Next slide. That's little bit true for bacteria, but not for viruses. What about eating Chinese food, your lovely dim sums and sushi and the Chinese fried rice? Does it spread COVID? COVID, again, I reiterate, spreads by droplet infection. Okay. You know, there's a common thing that if you take a hot bath, you prevent yourself from catching COVID. Please remember our normal body temperature is about 36.5 to 37 degrees centigrade. Actually, taking an extremely hot bath can cause thermal burns and injuries. So don't take an extreme hot bath. A normal warm bath is enough. And of course, the fact remains that taking a hot bath does not prevent the coronavirus. Can hand dryers be effective in killing the 2019 COVID virus? No. Hand dryers are for drying hands, gentlemen and ladies. They are not for killing the coronavirus. Next slide. Most of the people who catch COVID-19 can recover and eliminate the virus from their bodies. Therefore, you can recover from coronavirus. It does not mean that catching coronavirus means you've got the virus for the rest of your life and that is the end of your life. The mortality of this viral infection is not very high. The morbidity is not too bad. It's only a select few. Globally, it's about 0.5 to 3% who actually succumb. So it's not a deadly disease like the ones that I showed you before, like the bubonic plague and smallpox that actually kill millions of them. Next slide. But I can tell you, if you've had the viral infection once and you develop antibodies to that infection, you probably will be protected for life. Probably. This is a really dumb question that I actually received once. Does Corona Bear lead to coronavirus? This is no laugh. I think we need to get back to school if someone has to ask me that question. Albeit, let me tell you, the sales of Corona beer all over the world have dropped by more than 60 to 70% because of the fear, because of the name. That's what's in a name. Next slide. I think it's time that only I and you can break the chain of this virus. So the I and you are the ones who can actually eliminate this virus at this moment. Next slide. So what do we do? What are the lifestyle changes that we should do during COVID? Eat healthy, sleep well, exercise enough, work from home as if you were working in office. Stay hydrated, please. Every one of us is indoors. We are not losing too much of water and salt because we are not down in the sun, but be alert to keep yourself hydrated. Stop smoking. Clearly smoking, patients who had smoking, one of the reasons why Italy has succumbed so badly, let me tell you this medically. One, they've almost got the second largest population in terms of age. They're the oldest population in the world. Second, most Italians are smokers. That's why the mortality is so high. Stop having a tobacco. Let not alcohol enjoy you. There are better days to have alcohol. Avoid it. Interact with your family and people from home. When the cough is away, you can come out and play. Let the mice or the cough go away. Take your prescribed medications regularly. Delay all non-emergency medical issues. There's no urgency to do non-elective work right now. Special attention groups. This subset of people should be more attentive. People above the age of 60 or 65. Patients who have a severe heart or a cardiac issue. Please mark my words when I say this, severe. Patients with underlying lung conditions like bronchial asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, or commonly what is called as bronchitis. Patients with uncontrolled diabetes and blood pressure. Patients with a chronic kidney disease, that means patients who are on dialysis, or patients who've got a chronic liver disease, not fatty liver, but chronic liver disease. Immunocompromised group, some of which include active cancer, post-transplant patients, patients who are on steroids for any reason, and patients who have illnesses like HIV. Next slide. These are the subsets that need to be more careful. Mental health, sitting at home, it could be mentally very toxic. Outbreaks in the past have been stressful. You can get fear, worry, panic, stress, anxiety, phobia, depression. You can have sleeping disturbances. You may sleep in the day and sleep late at night because you're watching television or not able to sleep. Eating disturbances, you can binge on food or you can just stay hungry. It's very important to manage this, and we're facing a lot of mental health issues with our patients. For adults like us, avoid excessive exposure to media coverage. Please don't switch on the news channels and read your WhatsApp about COVID again and again and again. Connect through calls, texts, and internet. This is the technology. These are the days of technology. Add extra time for your stress relief. Listen to music, do yoga, do some exercises, meditate, do pranayams, do whatever. Practice self-care. Focus on your mental health, please. Most of us, and many of us, have small children. The children could be going to school or could be going to college. Please reassure them. They're in a state of anxiety. They keep asking questions. Mom, Dad, why am I at home? What's happened? Is COVID going to kill us? Please reassure them, and which is the truth, COVID is not going to kill us. Let them talk about their worries. Just don't tell them, keep quiet, you're too small. Talk to them, get them fearless. Share your own coping skills. Tell them how you're coping. You work at office and hospital or at a factory, and now you're at home. Tell them what you're doing to yourself. Limit their news exposure. Don't sit and watch COVID news with them. Please do not do that. Create a routine and structure as if they're going to school or college, and follow that at home. For the people who are in quarantine or isolation, suppose you've got infected or you come in contact with an infected person, keep in contact with your loved ones only via social media, texts, and phone calls. Do not have a physical contact. That's why I call it physical distancing and not social distancing. Create a self-care routine. Keep yourself busy. There are millions of games. There are hundreds of books. There are thousands of movies. Watch them, read them, play. Focus on new relaxation techniques. It will not only help you now, but also in future. I can tell you from my little personal experience, I don't have numbers to tell you. In the last 3 to 5 weeks, the incidences of patients, of people falling sick is much less. There are lesser heart attacks. There are lesser strokes just by experience. And there are lesser people just falling ill. And I think this is all because of environmental reasons, because of a more healthier lifestyle. That's how lifestyle changes can really help and prevent diseases. Next slide. And if you think about it, even your family, folks, and colleagues, you realize that actually lesser people are calling the doctors and going to hospitals. Ladies and gentlemen, has it ever occurred to you that ever in the history of mankind has this generation, our children, be so well prepared for an epidemic or pandemic like our kids? You will smile and laugh at it and say, yes, you're right. They spend their lives training for this day by sitting on the sofa, sitting on the couch, eating on the bed, not interacting with others, and just watching the screens, whether it's their phone, the TV, the Apple, the Apple TV, whatever. They are like what I call the modern day equivalent of Spartans. Spartans were those very disciplined Roman soldiers. Certainly they are disciplined in what they've done all their lives in this childhood. They are better prepared than us. So there's no reason to crib. Just reassure our children. Next slide. What about diet during and post-COVID? Following a balanced diet but consuming adequate amounts of food is important. If you see this list, just gives you a basic outline, and most of us consume this. Dairy products such as milk, yogurt, and cheese are good. Of course, when I say good, it's for people who have no underlying disease, who have no contraindication, and in moderation. It doesn't mean everyone goes and eats everything a whole lot. Meat, fish, poultry, stuff like eggs, nuts, beans, vegetables, especially the green leafy vegetables, fruits, bread, and even cereals. They're extremely healthy. I'll go to a few of them. Next, please. Number 1, vitamin A. So vitamin A plays a role in the immune system. Beta carotene is one form of vitamin A. Many of us would have been prescribed beta carotene, especially for our eyes when you have macular degeneration. Any food that is bright orange red in color has enough vitamin A, and these include orange, red vegetables such as carrot, sweet potatoes, red peppers, fruits such as apricots and mango, some type of fish, especially salmon, and dairy products have enough vitamin A. So you don't supplement yourself with a vitamin A capsule. You can just have enough of these. That's enough for a regular daily requirement of vitamin A. Next slide. What about vitamin C? I've spoken about vitamin C. It is important for immune boosting. I've told you about fruits and vegetables. Oranges, grapefruit, strawberries, kiwi, tomatoes, add to that list. And broccoli, spinach, and kale are excellent sources for vitamin C. One need not take vitamin C tablets. However, since it's a water-soluble vitamin, it's pretty harmless to take vitamin C. So if you choose and desire to take or continue to take vitamin C, there's no problem. Next slide. Vitamin E is the next slide. Vitamin E is also an important, powerful antioxidant that's helpful for the immune system. Almonds, hazelnuts, peanuts, butters, oils, sunflower, safflower oils, foods, cereals, fresh juices. So our normal diet contains adequate vitamin E. So a good, healthy, balanced diet will give us all the vitamins required. Next slide. I have a special affinity during this COVID to zinc and magnesium. Zinc and magnesium appears to have some inhibitory effect of the virus entering the cell. That means if you have normal zinc and magnesium in your diet, it may decrease the viral load if you were to get COVID. It also boosts immune system, repairs body tissues. Magnesium and zinc can be adequately found. Good sources of zinc are meat, shellfish, legumes, beans, dairy, eggs, and whole grains. Magnesium can be found in green leafy vegetables, banana, avocados, asparagus, nuts, seeds, broccoli, cabbage, peas, and seafood. The government of India and the Ayush Ministry advises us to drink lots of warm water throughout the day, not hot water, mind you, please don't get burnt. Eat turmeric, which is haldi, coriander, dhania, garlic, lasun, cumin, jeera, basil, tulsi, clove, long. These are helpful to improve the immune system. Practice yoga and drink your kada. Kada is basically a decoction of several substances, few of which I mentioned above. Continue to have your herbal tea, and cinnamon is also helpful. Next slide. Why is India different? And this should now alleviate our anxiety. I think what we've done best we've had the correct timing of lockdown. We didn't wait for those numbers to increase. The timing of lockdown was perfect. Do we have a better immune system? Someone asked, Vipulbhai asked me this question, very smart question. There are studies now globally, and they have found that people who have been vaccinated with BCG is a tuberculosis vaccine. Many of us have it on our left arm. Most of us should have it. It's a compulsory vaccine in our country. The incidence of patients across the world of COVID with people who have been BCG vaccinated is much, much less. It probably helps the T cells to fight the virus. And let me tell you, there are 3 countries at the moment, including France, who are now doing studies to give BCG vaccines to their population to see the effect a year later. So we are protected, hopefully, to some extent. This is interesting, and I have no real explanation for this. I call this the malaria endemicity slide. This is not complex. Please follow the slide number 1 on the left side. It says malaria infected countries. Hitesh bhai, if you can point on that malaria. If you see the dark blue shaded countries, if I start from here, it's South America, Central America, then I'm going to Africa, then I'm going to Asia, India, Southeast Asia. These are typical areas where the incidence of malaria is very, very high. Hitesh bhai, on the right side, if you go to see the COVID-19 countries, see Canada, North America, southern part of South America, see northern parts of Africa, Europe, China, Australia, and New Zealand. These are the areas where traditionally malaria is less. And these are the countries or the regions or the continents that are more affected with COVID. I'm just giving you the same slides down so you get a mirror image. Imagine the top COVID-19 yellow color and missing gaps, not the golden ones, are the blue ones. Those are the malaria infected. So if you see the incidence globally of these malaria infected countries, the incidence of COVID is less. No explanation, only time will tell us why. So we are fortunate in a way that we've had malaria for ages now. Next slide. This is a complex slide. I don't have a pointer with me, but Hitesh bhai, please guide me. The blue line is the forecast and the red line, the blue line is the data and the red line is the forecast. So we go to 21st March. Before 21st March, if you go on the blue line, Hitesh bhai, slide number, part A, top one. This is when the disease started spreading across countries. Then I'm talking about India specifically. Suppose we had only a 21-day lockdown, we would certainly see a resurgence of this infection 2 to 3 weeks after the lockdown opens. Certainly, because I've told you, it's an infectious agent. And what happens when 1 to 2.5 to 400 people get infected in 30 days. Slide number B, or the second part. If you had a lockdown after 21 days, when you had a massive spurt, suppose the data was huge spurt and then a lockdown for 21 days, people get fed up. And then the government decided to open the lockdown for 5 days, the part in the center. So you open the lockdown for 5 days, and then you again have a lockdown for 28 days. So when you have a lockdown for 28 days, there will be a decrease, but after the 28 days, there will be a resurgence just because of opening of those 5 days. Those 5 days will infect so many people in 3 weeks after you open the lockdown, then in 3 to 4 weeks, there'll be again spike. Slide number 3. If you had a lockdown for 21 days, opened it for 5 days, gave time to people, and again had a lockdown for 4 weeks, you would probably open again for 5 days and then again a lockdown for 18 days. That means 3 lockdowns. You'd probably, what we call medically, flatten the curve or decrease the incidence of COVID amongst the community. However, if we follow a 49-day lockdown, we probably will get no spike and we will have just a flattening of the curve. When I speak about resurgence and when I speak about number of patients, please let me again tell you, this virus is there to stay. After the lockdown opens, this virus is not going to be dead and disappear from the community. We need to decrease the incidence. That's why this lockdown is happening. So don't think that lockdown is over, the virus is dead, we are back to square one. No, we still have to be cautious. Next slide. Finally, as we get ready, once the lockdown opens, I'm reiterating, keep yourself healthy and fit. Otherwise, the COVID will go away and you and me will not be able to get out of the COVID. How do we get out of COVID? Although the COVID is out, we need to keep ourselves fit. We will not exit out of that door if we remain unhealthy. Next slide. So utilize this time for better life care. This is a couple of slides that I've taken from a corporate actually, and I think it's superb. Once the lockdown opens, now we've come to that part, the second last part. How do we get to work? Have faith in yourself. There has to be flexibility. We have to be flexible to changes as situation unfolds. We can only predict what's going to happen after the lockdown. We can't definitely tell what's going to happen in the lockdown. So there will be changes. Be flexible. Don't trip. Don't cry. Don't say, what is this? Be aware and alert. Maintain a constant vigil. Don't be fearful. Alertness is different from fearful. Awareness is different from death. Please be alert and aware. Don't say doomsday is down. Inspire everyone in the community. Be an example to everyone. Show them how you work. Show them your hygiene techniques. Fortunately, I hope after this virus, as India has got such a massive pastime of spitting around, people will hopefully stop spitting around. Thankful. Be thankful to God for what we have. And be thankful for those, my paramedical staff, my doctors who are fighting for us. And health. Health is about everything else for you and everyone around us. Take care of our health. Next slide. So what happens? One before. What happens? What do we do when we get back to work? For those people who have their offices with massive staffs or who work in corporates, avoid physical meetings. If unavoidable, attendees to follow strict social or physical distancing norms. Meeting rooms should be converted for workstations. Work area rules, no handshake. Namaste is the way we should treat. Good old Indian culture is back. Define your chair. Don't use everyone else's chair because as I told you, many people touch their face, no secretions, and then they pull their chair, push their chair. Don't share food or snacks on the same desk, please. Keep sanitizing or washing your hands every few hours. Sanitize your laptops, mobiles, and desks at least twice a day, because you touch your mobile more than you touch yourself. What is discontinued or closed at the moment is foreign and domestic travel. Crash services for corporates should not be allowed. Recreational centers should not be opened. Engagement activities should not be opened. Food courts should be avoided right in the beginning. And large gatherings and trainings should be banned right now. Next slide. What happens when you leave at home? Before leaving, this is very important. Monitor your health. Make sure you don't have fever. Wear a mask. Please continue to wear a mask the moment you are about to step out of your house. Carry a spare mask. People, please do not use an N95. An N95 is a special mask that's used for doctors and paramedical workers. The normal community, a normal surgical or the green mask is good enough. Even a cloth mask can do. Always carry a small sanitizer bottle, handkerchief, and some paper soap in your bag. After you leave office and before you reach home, ask someone to keep the door open. Don't touch the door handle because that's not often sanitized, especially if it's out of the house. Inform your family in advance to do this. Sanitize before you enter. Leave your shoes outside. Wash your hands and belongings. Take a bath and give your clothes for laundry. Don't go and hug your wife and children the moment you enter in. Next slide. Things to be kept in mind when returning home. Sanitize your vehicle. The door handles is a rich source, so just clean them. Avoid gatherings. Don't go to a public place like a mall or a religious place like a temple or a mosque or a church for prayers. Shop from dedicated shops. Carry your bags while shopping. Avoid taking bags from the merchant. And try to make mobile or e-payments. That makes it less handling of notes on coins, so less infectivity. Next slide. These are some practical tips I thought. Disinfecting the home. Kitchenware. So if you've touched something, it's a good idea to place the kitchenware in boiling or high temperature for 15 minutes. Frequent contact areas that are missed are door handles, tables, chairs, and floor should be cleaned with a disinfectant. Mobile, tablets, laptop, and surfaces should at least be cleaned twice a day because those can carry one of the most infectious agents or transmissible formites that I call is your mobile phone. Because your mobile phone is, you can walk out with your trousers, but your mobile phone should be there with you. Next slide. The future. There is no definitive drug therapy, so we are waiting for a drug therapy. People keep saying, why can't we make a vaccine? Let me give you an example. To make a vaccine, if you start from scratch, you need to have the virus, in this case, have adequate antibodies that gives you protection. You need to try it in animals first, then it goes to humans, and then it comes out to public. So it takes years to make sure there's no side effect, there's no adverse effect. Before Hitesh bhai, for example, if I give you the incidence of yellow fever in Philadelphia, in 1793, mark you, 1800s, there were 5,000 people who died because of this virus, yellow fever, and 17,000 fled from the city. The first vaccine was developed in 1935 and only licensed in 1953. It took 150 years to get a vaccine. Now, as yet, there's no cure for yellow fever. Many of us would have taken yellow fever shots, especially traveling to East Africa and South America. But one vaccine is enough. I'm not trying to scare you. It's going to take us 150 years. This was the era where there was technological advent. Medical science was not so forward. We didn't have so many techniques to do it. So this is in 1800s. So it takes time for the vaccine. However, there is some hope. Next slide. To yourselves, answer this question. Can you identify this lady? Next slide. This lady is no one else but Jennifer Haller. And for those who want to know who Jennifer Haller is, this is the first lady outside of China, the Republic of China, to get the first shot of the trial vaccine of COVID-19. So we are not far away. This does not mean at the same time that the vaccine is knocking at our doors. It's going to take time, but we've already advanced. If you see the time frame of the yellow fever, almost 130 years or 140 years in terms of time. In 3 months or 4 months, we've advanced to testing humans. So I would feel the vaccine should be there anywhere from 8 months to 1.5 years. Next slide. Take home messages. We are chosen few to see such a pandemic. As I told you, once in 100 years. COVID is infectious. We need to be watchful, not fearful. It will not disappear from the community. We are breaking the cycle. We are flattening the curve. Utilize the lockdown well. Work, exercise, spend time with your family. Signs and symptoms are similar to flu. All of us have experienced flu. Does not have a high mortality. This virus is not so lethal like smallpox or bubonic plague in the past pandemics. Cautious group, which I told you, above 60, immunocompromised, etc., need to be on the guard. Definitive therapy still awaited. Maintain the big five. Wash your hands. Cough into your elbow. When you cough and sneeze, don't excuse me. Say elbow, please. Do not touch your face. Keep a physical distance and stay at home until we get relaxations. Office discipline needs to be reinforced. Please report in sick if you have symptoms. Do not go to work and say it's just a flu. Do not go to work. The light at the end of the tunnel is not that far away and it's certainly visible. Oh, Hitesh bhai, I think got a message from China. Just go. Next slide. Oh, President Xi Jinping has sent a message to the world. He says no mingling. He says do not mingle right now. Next slide. Finally, thank you very much for your patient hearing. Equality has reached us all. We are in the era where all of us are untouchables. Thank you. I'm more than happy to take questions.
Yeah.
Yes. So now, whoever wants to raise query, raise the hand. You will be unmuted. You can unmute your mobile and move on. But thereafter, please mute your mobile again so that the rest can hear the other query.
You can ask the stupidest question. Don't feel shy. If I have the answer, I will certainly help you out.
Mr. JP Diman.
Namaskar, sir. I just have two questions. One is with regard to the mask. There are so many masks which are available with the chemist. So I want to know which mask is best. Number two, my question is that what is the life of that mask? For how many times or for how many days or hours one can bear such masks? These are the two questions.
Great question. So as I said in my presentation, the normal surgical mask, I can show you one. This mask is good enough for the common people. There is a way to wear it. Please clean your hands before you touch the mask. Put the mask on your face. Put it behind your ears. Cover your nose and your mouth. Do not just cover your face. Do not keep touching the mask. This mask ideally should be used only once, but I think it's okay to use for a day unless it's got soiled or it's got dirty and infected. Normal people need not wear the fancy fancy N95 mask. You know, that big white mask. That's for healthcare workers and for people who are at high risk of contracting an infection.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Vipul, unmute yourself. Vipul, unmute.
Yeah.
फिर राजेश
Yeah.
शाह है.
Yeah, Doctor, I've got, if you don't mind, couple of questions, 3-4 questions.
Sure.
Number one, why animals and birds are spared? Number two, I think we discussed beginning that we are told that suppose someone has gone ahead of you and he sneezed in the air, he coughed in the air. Now that person is no longer visible, but still the cough droplets they remain in the air for a few hours. So even though you might have kept distance of 10 meters, but suppose he has sneezed or coughed in the air, so the droplets remain in the air for few minutes or hour. And number three, newspaper. Now I don't know why newspapers doesn't matter whether newspaper can get infection in your house. And the mask, you said even clothes, simple handkerchief also would be enough. You can always clean it again, mask, or you can sun dry for a few days, and they said virus remains active for 3 days or 72 hours. I think so. These are some few questions I thought I would ask.
Sure. So if someone has walked ahead of you and coughed, there is some evidence in the ICUs globally from Italy, France, and America that the virus remains in the air for up to 3 hours. As I repeat, these are from patients specifically who have a very high viral load. That means they are highly infected and a procedure is done on them, just not by coughing. If you come in very close contact with them, that the risk of the person getting infected is high. If someone is 10 meters ahead and coughs, it's unlikely you will get COVID infection. About the question about your mask, cloth mask can certainly be used. It can be cleaned and reused. If you have to use an N95 mask, you can reuse it. You have to sun dry it for up to 3 days or at least 48 hours and then reuse it. Do not use soiled masks because they will only have more bacteria and viruses. What is the other question? The other two questions were?
Birds and animals, how they
Animals.
birds and animals.
Oh, so you have caught my definition of a virus. So at the moment, there is no evidence to say that the animals are infected or getting infected. You know, the veterinary society needs to study the infectivity of animals, but there's clear data from patients who've been infected now that if they had pets, the pets were not infected. Even on screening pets and animals, they did not have infection. However, this data has not come out from bats or wild animals as yet. But we've had past epidemics or past diseases like the bird flu or avian flu where animals were also infected. The fourth one?
Newspaper?
Oh, no. So I had said it in my slide. Today's newspaper is technologically driven. No human touches the newspaper except when it comes to dispatching, which is covered with some plastic, and when the vendor comes to your door to give it. There is clearly no evidence, and the World Health Organization also says that newspaper does not spread COVID infection.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Rajesh M. Shah and Praful Joshi. Arvind? एक मिनट 1 minute wait. अरविंद आप अनम्यूट करो. प्रफुल्ल जोशी है और राजेश एम शाह है.
Yeah, my name is Rajesh Shah. I'm just about 60 plus. So doctor,
Right.
I wanted to know, I am not sure I had a BCG vaccination. So can you take it now? That's the first question. And the second question is, you know, food deliveries and plastics. Plastics do tend to keep the infection if at all the deliverer has had some problems. And you cannot be sure that the deliverer has been tested for non-COVID infection. Those two questions. Thanks a lot.
Sure. So about your food delivery. So most food delivery people are saying that, you know, the delivery boys are using sanitizer. So if you do believe it, you're safe. But what happens to the person who's making the food and dispatching the food and, you know, filling the food? Well, it's a great idea to sanitize or clean the bag or dispose the bag and clean the, you know, plastic that you're getting the food in. Shift the food to your home container and warm it if it can be warm. That will eliminate all viruses. Please clean your hands before and after you do that. The first question will be, and the first question was about, you are 60 years, you wanted to know about?
BCG.
Whether
That's
I
a
don't
super.
know whether I took a BCG earlier.
Yeah, so, you know, as I said, it'll be on your left arm. If you have a mark on your left arm, you probably have it. If not, so France has studied this. I can tell you in Japan, BCG vaccination was started only 35, 40 years ago. So those subject of people have lesser incidence. You know, at this stage, I cannot tell you that if you take a BCG vaccine today, is it going to prevent you from getting COVID in future? I doubt it. That's not true. So it's not a great idea to take a BCG shot today.
Thanks.
But I think 60 years back it was compulsory.
It was. So most of
It
us will have it
was.
on the left arm.
Yeah, PC Joshi, Praful Joshi. Arvind, Praful Joshi, please. Yes, sir.
Doctor,
Yes, sir.
We can hear you.
can you hear me?
Very much, sir.
Thank you. If I have a morning walk on the terrace, will it be hazardous or it is healthy? Second one is, have you to put on hand gloves when you go out? These are the two things which I would like to know.
So the first thing is if you go for a walk on your own terrace, it's completely safe. If you go in a society, make sure you maintain a physical distance. There should not be too many people walking around with you. Especially if you climb up or you go in the elevator, you are bound to touch the railing or the switch and the knobs of the elevator. So make sure that doesn't happen. Also, many people have a habit of just nudging the wall and walking. Make sure you don't do that. When you come back from your walk, put your clothes in the laundry, disinfect it, clean your hands, and then do your routine.
What about hand railing? Hand railing.
Yeah,
When you
hand
climb
railing is a hand railing is certainly a transmissible zone. I call this formite. It remain on hand railing, plastic, and steel for long days. So you should disinfect all these areas before you go for a walk.
What about hand gloves?
You should, okay, so the gloves, it's not imperative to wear a glove unless you're doing some handling, unless you're picking something. Otherwise, there's no need for a hand glove. The issue comes, it's a bigger issue that we thought is how do you dispose? You need a proper disposal way. Hospitals have equipment. They have red, yellow, different bins for different methods of disposing. Suppose you got an infection and use the same, the poor FGM worker or municipal worker, if the bag is not sealed, will get infected. So it's not a great idea to wear unless you have some physical handling.
Thank you very much.
Doctor, now let me ask one question. The fruits and vegetables. Now vegetables I'm making so it will oil. I mean, it will get boiled. What about fruits? I mean, how do you clean that?
Yeah. So forever in life, the best way to use warm water. Suppose you can't use warm water on a fruit. Best way to clean vegetables and fruits is use a small potassium permanganate solution with water. This is a complete great disinfectant. It will clean. But if you just wash your fruit well, we rest assured you will not get the virus.
Okay, because that's very important. Every day you receive this.
Sure.
Nikita, Bhaveshwara wants to raise one question.
Yes,
Sure.
Bhaveshwara. Arvindji, Bhaveshwara.
Hello.
Bhavesh,
Yes.
you are on.
Yeah, I have one question, doctor. It is going very well. Now, after the lockdown, if we travel in a car with a driver, then what's the care we have to take? That is the question number one, because that is going to be a regular one. Second, after the lockdown, if we go out and buy something, from a grocery or from some food stall or some material, is there any care has to be taken? There are two questions, doctor.
Right. So I didn't put one slide of norms of travel. So if you are traveling, make sure there are no more than 2 or 3 people in a car. So you should maintain some form of physical distancing there. It's a good idea to ask your driver to keep washing his hands, cleaning the steering, the door handle, and the side elbow rests, and both the elbow rests, left and right. If he has no fever, cough, no flu-like symptoms, or not in contact with someone with COVID, unlikely he's infected or will infect you. But the moment he gets a cough, which is infectious, not like a small dry cough like this, but a continuous cough with constitutional symptoms like that I showed you, you need to keep him away at work.
Is it advisable to wear mask in the car where 2-3 persons are there?
It's certainly advisable. The moment you are about to leave your home, wear the mask. Certainly wear your mask. As far as the vegetables and shopping is concerned, I showed it in my slide. Carry your own bag, stick to a couple of stores that you go to, come back at home, clean your hands, keep the door open, inform someone to keep the door open, sanitize your hands, wear the bag if it's disposable, or sanitize the bag, clean the vegetables and fruits, or if you have to unpack something, wash your hands, then unpack it and throw away the plastic. Please do not hoard stuff. We Indians love hoarding stuff, whether it's mask, food, or everything.
Doctor, I have to only one thing I have to ask you.
Sure.
What you said correct, but the driver normally come through a local train, maybe from Bombay, maybe from Dombivli, Virar, Vasai, or Thane, and he may be traveling. He may also not be knowing with whom he is traveling, and then he comes in the car. We sit in the same car. He may sneeze while we are in the office, and he may use the car for entire day with AC or without AC. In the same car, we come back home. So is that not safe, or what we should be doing this time?
So if you want to be 100% safe, avoid keeping a chauffeur for some time until there's a complete flattening of the curve. However, I can speak about Mumbai. I don't think local trains will be open for non-essential services. Maybe chauffeurs who are not doing essential services will not be allowed right now. In rest of the other parts of the country, they may be allowed. So if you want to be safe, it's also a good idea to ask where they live and whether there are other patients who got infected in that area. There is an app so you can make out if there are infected areas in that colony. But this is a technical risk. There are more than 1.5 million people who died out of TB. The millions of people who cough in local trains have much more TB than they have COVID today. There are thousands of people who die of a railway accident and road traffic accident every day. We've never thought of them. So I don't think we need to be fearful. We need to be watchful.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. There is a query from Bhavin Mehta. Arvind, till he does that, sir, there is a query on chat box. One Mr. Rajiv Khetan says his mother is in PSP advanced stage and needs a caretaker. The girl is coming from a very near distance walking where there is not much crowd. So what are the necessary precautions? Whether she should be asked to change the dress every time or whatever.
This is a very common scenario for everyone. PSP is called Parkinson's plus syndrome. That means it's an advanced stage of Parkinson's. In these patients, I hope his mother is not in such a state. People are unable to walk, eat, swallow. They're very rigid and tough. They need assistance. They need care. Fortunately, you have a person who is staying close by to home. It's a good idea to make sure that the person who's coming home changes his or her clothes, washes his hands, rinses them with soap and water for 20 seconds, make them sing happy birthday if they can't count 20 seconds twice, and that'll be good enough. And always wear a mask and come. If you are very fearful, you can ask them to keep their mask when they enter home away and give them your own mask at home. You can also give them a small plastic gown at home or a disposable gown. I'm not asking anyone here to use personal protective equipment. We are running short of them. Please spare them for the health workers. But a small plastic gown or a disposable gown, which is homemade of cloth, which can be used again. But the person who's coming needs complete hygiene. And if the person who's coming has any form of fever, please do not let the person come home, because your mother is certainly falls into a little cautious age group.
All right. Mr. Bhavin Mehta wanted to ask, sir, the precautions to be taken by society. Like, they don't allow people, but then whether it is compulsory to provide them the disinfectant and everything. Actually disinfecting the entire society, I mean, how it is possible?
So there are private agencies, there are municipal corporations across the country who are readily, available to come and disinfect your society. You should disinfect your society. For healthcare workers like us, once I start joining my office regularly, I'm going to make sure that my clinic is also disinfected, because that's a very highly infectious or contagious zone. People coming into the society, they should use a alcohol-based sanitizer, which has at least 60% alcohol, or wash and clean their hands completely. They will have to be allowed at some point of time. Someone has popped in to say, will thermometers help? Well, infrared thermometers help if you have had fever, but if you've had no fever, infrared thermometer will not help. Infrared thermometer will not detect someone who is just carrying the virus and it's not infected. It's a good screening device. It's not a completely dependable device.
Okay, after the office, whether, these are the questions I'm reading from the chat box. Whether we have to wear a mask in the office. I think you already answered to that.
Yes. So once you are out of home, if you maintain physical distancing, you may not completely wear a mask, but it's always good to wear a mask.
Okay, any special care for thyroid patient? That's a
thyroid subgroup is not put in the high risk subgroup. So go ahead, take your thyroid medications first thing in the morning on an empty stomach and monitor your thyroid symptoms. You're not at high risk.
PC जोशी को अरविंद जी, प्रफुल्ल जोशी जी को बोलने दीजिए.
Can you hear, doctor?
I can hear you, sir, now.
Yeah. While traveling by car, is it necessary that we should put off your air condition, or air condition will do?
Any closed environment should have ventilation. So if you are using the air conditioning for a short distance, it's fine. But if your windows are up from morning to night, you should make sure that you have ventilation. Even at home, please ventilate yourselves. Do not live in air conditioning 24 hours. It's difficult to, but in big corporate offices, make sure you have the HEPA filters. They are the air blasters that filter the contaminated or infected air. But if you're doing a short distance, you don't need to open the windows at all.
So air condition, there is no problem.
There's no problem, sir.
Thank you, Dr.
Nikita ji, there are
Okay.
5 more people who want to ask some question. Let me unmute them.
हाँ, please
First,
unmute them.
first will
Unmute them.
be Mr.
Unmute them.
Vipul Pancholi.
हाँ, विपुल पंचोली, where is he? उनको
I'm
unmute
here.
करो, बोलो. विपुल जी
Yeah.
बोलो.
किया
Uh,
unmute?
Hi, doctor. Thank you very much, first of all, for very informative session.
My pleasure.
And I have, you can say, one sort of little stupid question.
Sure.
Actually, how people die in this?
Ah. Okay. So I reiterate, 99% you and me will not die. You means any one of us will not die. People, the highest mortality is seen in the, that watchful group that I told you. Number 2, you die because you get what is called as a cytokine storm, where your organs fail. Typically, it's the lung that fails first, followed by other organs like the heart, the liver, and the kidneys. When this cytokine storm occurs, there is a release of several substances in your body that just causes more and more inflammation. So most of these patients get either a respiratory problem or a cardiac problem, and that's the cause of death. The risk of mortality is 0.5 to 3%. It's much lower than the most infectious diseases of the world.
Okay. And second thing, what are the chances of relapse? Like if somebody recovers from this?
Okay, that's a superb question. My slide was too technical. When I spoke about a rapid test will tell us whether you had a past infection, whether you have a present infection. It will tell us both. There is no proof of a relapse of this infection. It is, however, medically said that if you've had an infection once before, the chance of you getting a second infection of COVID-19 is much less likely. And at this moment, even if you get it, it's going to be milder. So there's very little chance of a relapse.
So in case of such a huge country, if these particular possibilities are there, so even after lockdown, what is the possibility that people will survive or people will not get infection? Or
so as I said, this virus is not going to die after the lockdown. This virus is going to remain. We can help break the chain by maintaining the big 5, as I repeat and repeat and repeat. So if you have symptoms, this virus is going to last. It will last for, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. It's not going to go in 2 months. But I don't think so many people are going to succumb to this virus. By this time, most of us, the educated, the uneducated, the literate and illiterate, all have heard, all know the no's and do's and don'ts of preventing an infection of this virus. So rest assured, we'll be safe.
Doctor, my father wants to ask one question.
Sure.
Doctor, it was a very illustrative and nice talk, which I heard. The question arises in our society that number of people go up and down through the lift and also sometimes carry the dogs. So what should be the precaution that should be taken?
So dogs will not transmit the disease. So rest assured, animals and pets do not transmit the disease. In terms of using the elevator and the staircases, I told you the hand railing and the elevator buttons. If you have a small compact elevator, especially, that place needs to be sanitized. So come home, wash your hands, and you'll be safe. No problem with the dogs and the cats.
Where is the glove is necessary there?
It's not necessary, but it's a precaution. But again, as I tell you, disposal of these gloves is very important. We don't have disposal methods. I don't want the common man today to put the same gloves in the same bin that you put your trash. This needs medical disposal, which is a complete separate thing.
Thank you.
But sir, you should not go out of the house because of your age right now.
Yeah, thank you. I am locked out already.
Yes.
Chalo, next,
Another
Mr.
question from Rupa.
Ashutosh.
There is one question from Rupa Gami.
क्या रूपा जी बोलिए.
Hello.
हाँ रूपा, yes.
Yeah. Hello, doctor. I would like to ask that if we go to the grocery or go to buy some vegetables or anything, we may be touching those very same fruits or anything which others would have touched, or maybe we touch some counter or some table over there. Then is it risky for that when we touch, or what should be done?
The moment you touch anything out of the house or out of sanitation, come back and sanitize yourself, washing your hands, putting your clothes inside for laundry, etc., etc. This is bound to happen. I'm sure all of us have been shopping over the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks. We've all been following the same norm. So, I mean, and also I think most people will not come shopping if they are infected. But yes, you can have no symptoms and yet carry the virus. So just clean your hands when you come back, change your clothes, don't touch unnecessary things. If you want to buy something, pick it up. Don't come and feel it and say, "Arey, this is soft, this is hard." If you don't want it, don't look at it.
Gotcha. Okay. And one more thing is that when we say that we should not touch the door knob and certain handles and all, but like when we open the tap or something, we are going to touch it, or when we close the tap, we have to touch it.
Yes, I did say don't touch. I didn't say actually don't touch. I said sanitize, especially the doorknobs, the mobile phones, your desktops and your pads regularly. So you are going to touch it. You know, the only thing that I said, once you come from office, if someone is at home, make sure the door is open so you don't have to do unnecessary touching. Just clean it, just sanitize it, the doorknobs, the handles, and that'll be good enough to prevent the infection. All these years, all these decades, we've been doing everything wrong, and none of us had had any severe viral infection or death. That's why we're all here. I don't find such a big fear, and we followed no sanitization in the past.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
Someone has raised a question. What are the best means and methods of sanitization?
Also, as I've told you, you get those sanitizers freely available in the market, which are written for floor cleaning and wall cleaning. Use them. There's a method to do 5 ml in 500 ml or 1 liter. Read the instruction depending on the concentration. For offices, I repeated, there are several agencies that come and disinfect your office and your workplace. So just contact your disinfect agency, they'll come and do it for you. You and me can't possibly do it. You get these spray sanitizers, which are used also in the building, and which doesn't stick too badly or doesn't slip too badly. It evaporates in few minutes.
Next one is by Mr. Samarth.
My question is, why is it that the mortality rate is high in patients who are diabetics and hypertensive?
I will extend that question. Why is this that the mortality rate is higher than the common flu? Let me change that and then answer that. It's more common because we have something in medical called the R0. R0 is the rate at which you can infect people. When I showed you that slide on when one person who is not constrained at home can infect 406 people after 30 days, because the power of infectivity is 2.5 compared to a normal virus, which is 1.5. That's why this is a more infectious virus than the others. Your main question was?
My main question is, why is it that the mortality rate of COVID
is higher,
much higher for people who have diabetics, uncontrolled diabetes, and those who have hypertension?
So, unfortunately, most diseases have a higher mortality in patients who are diabetics, hypertensive, poor heart function, etc., 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 especially the communicable infective diseases, because the immune system is beaten down. You don't have an as good immunity, especially if it's uncontrolled compared to a person who's had none of the diseases. That's why as an immunocompromised state, you are in an immunocompromised state, you need to be more careful. It's at the end of the day, it's the fight between the drugs and the bugs. So the drug at this moment is yourself. It's the fight between you and the bug. Whoever has a better strength, whoever has a better army, the army consists of what we call T helper cells. That's the fighting cells. If you're better, if your immune system is better, you are going to be victorious.
Doctor,
you'll be surprised when the CART test comes or the rapid test comes. I mean, I hope none of you all need to do it. Many of us who do it will actually be found that we've already had the infection and we passed it off without even getting a symptom.
One more question.
Arvind, Premlata Bansal madam ko karo.
Madam,
और भाविन मेहता. Oh, Ritesh bhai.
Doctor, one question. This is a more technical question. The
Sure.
person who has been recovered from this COVID-19, I have read somewhere in the paper that the plasmas are used for the recovery of the other patients. Is it the truth, or again it is a myth?
It's a superb question, complete technical. So this is called convalescent plasma therapy. They have taken blood, separated plasma from the blood. The white part is the plasma of patients who had COVID-19. If I tell you in lay language, this is equivalent to giving a vaccine. When you have adequate antibodies, a vaccine is given to protect yourself because it has enough antibodies to fight the antigen, which is the virus. When you take this convalescent plasma from people who suffered from 19 with adequate antibody and you inject them in serious patients with the same blood group, there is a chance, because it gives you a quick, rapid antibody response. So you get a clear, faster clearance of the virus and improvement. So this therapy is there. India has also started trials on this convalescent plasma therapy. So the moment we get more and more patients, we'll have one more defense to the entire mechanism or the gamete of fight.
Thank you.
Madam, Premlata Madam.
Yes. Dr. Sab, you have said that corona is spread by droplets. When lockdown will be open and we will go to court, how will we come to know that somebody has coughed here? That is one. Secondly, how long those droplets will remain in the air? And thirdly, whether Arogya Setu app will suggest us that there are droplets of corona near about you.
Okay, when you go to court, I mean, as I told you, it's the same risk to catching any other infection in the past. You never know who's touched the railing or the lift button or the court staircase or the court bench. It's the same risk. But I think there will be strict physical distancing maintained when offices start. Hence, it's not going to be the same way. There are going to be a number of people who are going to be restricted coming into court and on office. So I think you should be rest assured. If someone has high fever, be honest to yourself and the community. Don't go to office if you have symptoms of any infection. In terms of your other question, Arogya Setu app, the Arogya Setu app will never tell you where the virus is floating in the air. The Arogya Setu app tells you which are the hot spots or the area or the buildings which have COVID cases. It is incorrect to throw away or disregard the person suffering from COVID-19. It's not that he is coming to the building and he's suffering and you and me are going to get, if you are in different walls or with no contact. He will not spread it to you from any angle unless you come in contact with him. So please don't look at him as if you can't be, they can never be touched in their entire life. Arogya Setu is for telling you hotspots.
But sir, that is also, they mentioned that Arogya Setu will identify a person who are infected which are near around you,
So Arogya Setu will tell you, because of the app, they will be able to tell you if you have symptoms. And that's what, if you have an infection, the government has the data to tell you this person and this area and this building has an infection. It will just highlight that. It can't tell you the virus load.
But then is it an accurate information? Suppose the person is not having any virus and then also if it shows.
No. It's government regulated, so it's pretty accurate. It's a very accurate information.
So it is advisable.
Okay.
It is.
Now, sir, I will quickly take some questions and we'll finish. Is it advisable to test for COVID and frequency of the same? How much cost? When to go for testing? That's important.
So when to go for testing? Do you and me need to go for testing at this moment? Certainly not you. I don't know if I need to go. I've been treating COVID patients. So no, the general community who's not come in contact with any COVID patient needs to go for testing. If you go for a COVID testing on a recommendation of your doctor, I will give you 3 instances. 1, your COVID comes negative, but you have symptoms, retest after 5 days. If you still come negative, it's unlikely you have COVID. In those 5 days, try to find a different cause of your fever. If you go for a testing for COVID and you come positive, if you are asymptomatic, quarantine, self-isolation is the best policy. Ideally, you should repeat a test after 5 to 7 days. If you get a negative test, repeat after 7 days. If you have 2 negative tests, that's the time you are now allowed to come out to the community, provided 14 days are over. If in the second test you again get a positive test, you start from scratch. You should get 2 negative tests before you are allowed to come out to the community, or before you're declared COVID-free, at least 14 days away from your first symptom.
And what is the cost? I mean,
the
that's a
government
question.
hospitals do it free. The private labs, many of you all are advocates and judges and solicitors and lawyers. You can fight. There has been a writ petition that private labs should do it free. At the moment, it costs 4,500 rupees on an average to do one cost. So it's not really cost effective on a mass scale. But the rapid tests could be a game changer. It will give us results quicker and will be much, much, much cheaper. I think it should cost anywhere from 500 to 700 rupees.
Sir, a special question: how to sanitize hands if someone is suffering from skin psoriasis?
So if you have skin psoriasis or if you have an allergy, then you can just use soap instead of using alcohol if you're allergic to alcohol. And if you have to go out, these subgroup of patients can wear gloves if they're not allergic to gloves.
And warm tea and water green tea, I mean, it must be green tea, whether it will remove the virus.
Ayush, Government of India, as I said in my slide, has recommended to have warm water and herbal teas. It does not kill the virus. It probably enhances improvement of your immune system. It will not kill your virus. Don't go and have 2 gallons of warm tea and green tea to say that I'm not going to get it.
Okay, any special comment for the kids below 3 years?
So fortunately, it is found that children less than 10 years of age are relatively spared of this disease. I think the reasons are multifactorial. They are fresh, they are newborn, and newborn, when I say newborn, means they are much younger than us. So their immune system is better. They don't have comorbidities. Number 3, they are exposed to the environment right now. So I think children below 10 are much, much safer than, adults.
So I think the rest are already answered by you, how to clean the grocery and everything. Friends?
I would say one question that I thought someone would ask me.
Yes,
If
sir.
any one of yours have taken a flu shot or a vaccine for flu, does it prevent you from corona? The answer is no. The flu shot does not prevent you from corona, but it's a great idea for people above 60, for people who have comorbidities like diabetes, blood pressure, high risk age group. Consult your doctor, and it's a good idea to take a flu shot every 10 months to 1 year to at least prevent yourself from getting common flu until we get a COVID vaccine. Yes, madam. Thank you.
One
Yes.
last question I think Rajesh Bhai wants to raise.
Okay, Rajesh Bhai.
Yeah, I just have been watching and reading about Kerala. I don't see too much of the COVID news. Kerala, they say, has done a very, very good job compared to all over India. And of course, I know I've been to Kerala very often. The people are far apart, etc. So I'm sure that the governments are trying to study on those aspects of how Kerala has been much more successful. As I said, I know that Kerala is far spread apart. People are far spread apart and not like Bombay where we are very, very dense. So that's what I just wanted to say.
Yes, so I will tell you a couple of reasons. The health minister there, she is a teacher by profession, has been on her toes. And I must congratulate the government of India, and even because I live in Mumbai, the Maharashtra government and the municipality to do a fantastic job, an outstanding job. Kudos to them. But the government of Kerala has done an exceptional job. Number one, the literacy rate of Kerala is 100%. So everyone is literate. Everyone knows what they want to do. They have opened drive-in booths where people can go and test, like the South Korean model. In South Korea, the incidence really dropped because they were testing 25 and 30,000 people. At the signal they would go, you could drive into a booth, you would get tested. That's what Kerala has done. That's why Kerala has succeeded so well. And please remember, Kerala had at one point of time the highest or the second highest number of patients with COVID in the beginning.
It started
Okay,
from
sir, last two questions. Sanitizers made with Dettol, diluting in the water, whether it is good.
Yeah, Dettol is good. It can certainly be used. Savlon, Dettol, any brand but 60% alcohol is the best thing, and common soap is what soap. I thought someone would ask me what soap. Soap actually breaks the fat layer of the virus and disintegrates the virus. That's why soap is useful. So it can be used.
Okay, is it possible that in a span of time our body creates an antibody and thereafter we get immune? I mean, this is a question.
So the antibody can only be created, one, artificially through vaccination, two, purposefully through herd immunity, where everyone in the community goes and gets the infection, so you build antibodies, or three, if you accidentally get an infection. Out of the air, you will not get immunity.
Right, Dr. Saib, we have taken so much of your time, and we have, we are clear in our mind about, at least we are safe as long as we are in the house. Hitesh bhai, word of thanks, Happy-do.
Yes, so we thank you, Dr. Pratik Samdani, for a very detailed and a very lucid explanation. Actually, this has many of the myths which has been cleared by you, and you have answered most of the questions. And I think so. The topic is such that still there will be so many questions which will be like we are facing on a day-to-day life. But broadly speaking, you have covered each and every aspect, and you have tried to explain to our lawyers and the chartered accountants fraternity in a very lucid language. So I thank thank you, sir, on behalf of entire our Federation of Tax Practitioners, as well as from the listeners also. Thank you very much, and we are fortunate to have a person like you with us. And need arises, probably we may have a further dialogue on this platform.
Yes, by Nikita Ben.
Sir, we look forward to having.
Yes. Thank you so much for giving me
We
this
look forward to
opportunity.
having. Yes, please carry on.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes. Anytime I'm there, even if you want to ask me questions off the forum and offline, I can certainly help you. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity again. It was wonderful to, such an august and literate audience just to face them. Thank you again. Until then, namaste is the way to greet.
Namaste. Thank you.